They say her song is the only one that can move the gods, that her power doesn't come from above, but from something the skies tried to forget. Is Columbina the most powerful being in Genshin Impact? To find an answer, we have to look back to the very origin of this world. Thousands of years ago, before the archons ruled over the elements, even before Celestia imposed its new order, the world was under the care of the primordial dragon king, a sovereign who not only mastered the elements, but also ensured balance in Teyvat. However, he knew he could not rule alone forever. That is why, from his will, 3 lunar sisters were born. The eternal moon, who regulated the tides and oceans, the rainbow moon, who illuminated the mysteries of the firmament with her changing glow, and the frost moon, who bathed the nights in cold, silvery light. Each of them also had their own reflection in the sky, a celestial body that shone over Teyvat as a symbol of their power. Together, they maintained world harmony in their creator's absence, watching as silent witnesses to humanity's fate. But that golden age ended when thousands of years ago, after a great calamity, the lunar goddesses were wiped out, and with them the moons that ruled the night sky. Since then, what we see is not the original sky, but a forgery, a veil created after that catastrophe. The calamitous event that led to their destruction still sparks wide debate within the community. The legends are extremely contradictory regarding the reasons for their deaths, how many moons perished, and under what circumstances. Some even talk about how they were seen as traitors for aligning themselves with Celestia, although we don't know if there was some kind of manipulation involved. Rather, it seems quite clear that the heavenly principles were directly involved in their death, just as they eliminated the primordial sovereigns who originally ruled the world in order to steal their authority over the elements and rewrite that world as they pleased. They could not allow the lunar goddesses, the last remnants of that original world, to remain alive. However, something slipped through their plans. Even with the moons dying and their bodies being obliterated, the mortal remains of one of them, the frost moon, remained whole, floating lifelessly, hidden behind the false sky, practically untouched even to this day, as we see when Mavuika opens a rift in the false sky, or when Skirt tells us how she saw them firsthand. Why the corpse of the frost moon remained whole is a mystery. Maybe someone saw in those remains a last hope to restore the natural order of things, and protected it. Maybe it has to do with the properties of the moon itself, which managed to freeze itself in time, since in the original Chinese it is known as the frozen moon. Or maybe, as I would bet, the moons were such extraordinary entities that not even Celestia could completely erase their will. Whatever the case, that resilience was key, because, thanks to the fact that its remains did not disappear completely, over the centuries, that lunar will was able to reincarnate once again. In Columbina, the rebirth of the frost moon. At first glance, a fragile, naive damsel, lost in a world that seems foreign to her and that she doesn't understand. But within her beats the legacy of a power that once held up the entire sky. How strong is Columbina? Well, even though we haven't yet had the chance to see her in action or learn the exact details of her nature, no one can doubt her power. As the 3rd Fatui Harbinger, she immediately surpasses characters with incredible feats, and it's said that the top 3 can go toe-to-toe with gods in direct combat. She even appears in promotional art alongside archons, and her statues in Nod Cry serve the same purpose as the archon statues in the rest of Teyvat. The game makes it clear her abilities are at least on par with theirs, but now that we've seen this character's true origin, it's easy to deduce that her 3rd position among the Fatui and her comparison to the archons is just a crude facade. That Columbina is much more powerful than that. The archons emerged at the end of the war as leaders, figureheads established by Celestia to rule over this new world. For their feats on the battlefield, they were granted divine status. the authority over the elements stolen from the defeated primordial sovereigns. In other words, their divinity is not natural or innate, but a privilege granted by the celestial order after the war. Columbina, on the other hand, is the reincarnation of a primordial deity who escapes the new rules imposed by the celestial order. Her divine nature was not granted by the usurpers, but comes directly from the original source that shaped the world. The only character who could be compared in that regard is in fact Neuvillette, who, as the rebirth of the Hydro Sovereign, and after the events in Fontaine and Focalor's schemes, regains that ancient authority over the element, also escaping Celestia's plans. This has so far led him to be generally considered the most powerful known life form in Teyvat. And now Columbina arrives, with a similar origin to match him. But what if there was something that takes her even further? What if the damsel is not, as it might seem at first glance, just the unexpected reincarnation of one of the three lunar sisters, but an even more powerful figure, a true threat to the new order imposed by Celestia? Because all this symbolism of a triad of moons in Genshin doesn't come out of nowhere. It's inspired by a very ancient imagery that has survived through classical mythologies and even modern neo-pagan traditions. The idea of the triple lunar goddess. In this, the moon is not just a satellite. It's a divine cycle, a reflection of life itself. The waxing moon represents the maiden, youth, innocence, potential still hidden. The full moon is the mother, fulfillment, creation, power at its peak. And the waning moon is the crone, wisdom, decline, the closing of everything that once began. Three phases that form a whole. So, we can quickly associate Columbina and the frost moon with the waxing moon and the maiden archetype. She appears innocent, naive, childlike, sometimes fearful, unable to meet expectations, lost in a world not hers, one she doesn't understand, but with unlimited latent potential, an unfathomable knowledge she can't yet handle or interpret. Because maybe Columbina doesn't carry just that role. Maybe, before dying, the other two moons transferred their essence to the frost moon, freezing her in time and encapsulating the entire lunar cycle, the essence of the three archetypes, maiden, mother, and crone, all reborn in the future as a single, complete, and perfect entity, Columbina. A complete divinity, of which we have so far only seen her maiden, her child aspect. She wasn't able to meet the expectations of her followers, and the role was too much to bear. But maybe in the near future we'll see her reconcile with them, and act as a mother to the Frost Moon sect, and someday, in the distant future, guide humanity with the wisdom of a grandmother. This could explain her tumultuous relationship with the Fatui well. Maybe, after being overwhelmed and abandoning the Frost Moon descendants, she, being the child she is, found a mother figure in the Tsaritsa, who might be the only one able to see her true nature. The Tsaritsa, for her part, would see her as a glitch in the game, an enigmatic deity that not even Celestia was able to detect, and therefore the key in the final war against the celestial order that seems to be approaching in this twilight of Genshin Impact. It's no surprise Columbina's defection as a Fatui Harbinger caused the greatest emergency in the organization, triggering an unprecedented mobilization of all assets to recover her. The Fatui have suffered numerous setbacks, yes, but none. Not La Signora's death, not Scaramouche's betrayal, nor Capitano's disappearance have triggered such drastic actions, summoning all active Harbingers to recover her immediately, at any cost. Because she knows. Columbina is not just number 3. She is a force that cannot be replaced, manufactured, or bargained for. She is the last remnant of the 3 moons of the ancient world, of the true Teyvat, of the hope to destroy the false sky and storm the heavens.